All right, Polestar 2024 facelift. I like some of these modern EV facelifts we're seeing. Every time I do an autofocus video on a new modern EV, it's my favorite thing to pay attention to, like how what that company thinks an EV should look like. And they all kind of have ended up with this minimal face with bar lights and sort of modern LED light patterns, especially when you turn on and off the car, things like that. That's become very common. And so I like to see, how they think about this type of thing.
I would say a lot of cars are going this way in general. Like you're seeing, we were just talking about the Kia Niro before and how like there have been some out there because they have the hybrid version and there is the EV version, but like Kia's been going that route also. They've been trying to update their whole model, to get away from the old Kia and it be the new awesome Kia that I think a lot of people like. This looks great though.
Polestar
I
too.
dig this.
I don't know how I feel about getting rid of they had like a meshed grille before and now they're just swapping to basically like it just kind of looks like a little like laser LiDAR system.
I do prefer the old grille.
Yeah.
But I don't mind this new one to color match. It kind of reminds me of the Mustang Mach-E, where you can either get the GT with the color matching or the regular one, which is just black. Mm-hmm. But the old Polestar grille is better than just like a black shiny plastic. It was kind of nice.
I like this. I think I would like this one better if that LiDAR sensor wasn't like right in the middle.
Like a nose.
Like I wish it was in that little gap underneath and then blends in with it because
it looks like
then it would look really nice.
Yeah, it's strange.
But just having this little dot on the front of the car is a little weird.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think this looks really good.
Is it even a LiDAR sensor?
Whatever it is, camera sensor.
It's a hole
whatever,
for a camera or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a spec bump, kind of like the new laptops. So it's got 300 miles of range on a single motor version. It's a slightly larger battery capacity too to get that 300 miles. It can charge at 205 kilowatts, which is higher than the previous 155 kilowatts, so that's good. The dual motor doesn't get a bigger battery, but you do get better performance, 299 horsepower and 361 pound-feet of torque versus the slightly lower numbers of before. So the rear-wheel drive can do 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds, which is kind of quick. It was 7 seconds before.
Yeah.
Which is, that's a big difference.
It's a pretty big difference.
Once you get under 5.5 seconds, you start to get to like sports car territory. This is like decently quick.
Yeah.
And there's also now a rear-wheel drive version, so that was new. We didn't have a rear-wheel drive version before. It was just the all-wheel drive Polestar. So I like it.
Yeah.
I think price tag is going to be all of the killer, like the most important thing about this. And I don't even think this is a hot take either, but like Polestar is in my top 4 favorite EVs, period.
Yeah.
On the planet.
Do you think it gets much of a price bump or difference? Because this like feels like this is the new thing that I think is really interesting in EVs is Tesla's been around the longest, so we see it in that. I don't know if everything else will do it, but are we going to get the 2023 Polestar, or are we just going to get the Polestar 2 updated,
New
like
Polestar
Gen
2.
2, where it doesn't really say it? And
I think because it's a small facelift, it can be kind of like the M2 MacBook Pro, fall into the same price tag, but just be a little bit better than last time.
I wouldn't be surprised if this falls into same price tag.
Yeah, they added wireless chargers and driver awareness features as standard now as well. Something that was annoying with the Polestar is that it started at a pretty good price, but their add-on packages all costed a lot of money, and there were features that were standard in a lot of other EVs.
Right.
That
Especially
was frustrating. Yeah, and it was like $6,000 to add like wireless chargers and the driver assistance stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So you're actually saving quite a bit of money now that they're like bundling that stuff in, which is nice.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
I'm into the Polestar. My top EVs as far as like overall package usability are Tesla Model S, right above Porsche Taycan, right above Rivian R1T, and then Polestar, as far as ones I've tried.
I really think Hyundai and Kia are going to, like, I still think
they're
just
really
doing
good
so well.
But the materials and the overall build of the Polestar is better.
Really
than
What's the
good,
price
yeah.
tag on a Polestar? It's like starting at 50.
Those are around upper 40s, 50s, easily. A lot of them are in the 50s.
Yeah.
So it feels like it. Like the Ioniq is nice, but it isn't built as well.
It's surely like downgraded from that, but it's What is it? It's far cheaper.
Polestar starts at 48,400.
48, yeah.
Yeah. Also, they just feel sportier than the numbers. I don't know what it is about the way it drives. It feels like a Model Y type of drive.
I do have to say,
is good.
the thing I don't love about the Polestar 2 is it's like really close to like, it feels like it's the crossover between a sedan and a crossover. Like it feels a little bigger than a sedan, but not quite a crossover. So I'm really, really excited for the Polestar SUV, which I don't know if they're official renders or like officially what the car looks like yet, but it looks fantastic. Like this, but actually in an SUV version, I think looks way better. Because this still has that weird, like chunky back end that like kind of looks like it should be. I don't know.
Storage, like a hatchbacky type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only concern is the SUV going to have like the same battery and everything, because then it's going to get less range.
It will get, so that's a question. It probably will also have to have upgraded tech, because there's some, is this rumors still? 2023 Polestar, I've got a CNET article that's saying 500 plus horsepower, 300 mile range. That would imply much improved batteries.
Maybe this battery that they're getting ready for the Polestar 3 is what they're adding into this facelift Polestar 2, and that's why it's getting better battery, or is it just because it's now they're doing a single motor and you just get better efficiency out of that? But that's like it's a pretty significant battery bump, right?
I think there's a bunch
terms of range.
It's not way bigger, but it moves at like 30 more miles.
It was what, like was it 240 before?
I think it was above 250.
Oh, okay.
It was one of very few that
It might just be rear wheel then.
It's 82 kilowatt hours versus 78. So like
slightly more.
Not massive, but percentage wise, it's fairly decent.
It sounds like an accumulation of a bunch of small factors. Like a slightly bigger battery is one, slightly more efficient motors is another, slightly, the facelift is probably better for aerodynamics, honestly. Like a bunch of little things added together equals 30 more miles of range. Cool. Faster charging, I think, is actually more important, but
yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Also, last thing on this, did you feel when you drove the Polestar the range was very accurate when you were driving it?
Ooh, that's a good question. Usually, this was very early in my testing, so I don't remember as well. I do remember on paper it being one of the only ones with 250 plus. Like a lot of the ones we saw coming out were like, oh, we'll have 220, we'll have 240.
Yeah.
But I don't remember exactly how accurate it was. Good. The rest of the experience was great. Good drive, good software, like good space, good materials and build and everything. And I like the way it looks. So I hope it is accurate.
I guess my question being is like, I always like that number 300, but when Tesla was the only one over there, I was always like, well, 320 is like 300. So this at 300 is like, is this a really accurate 300 or are you going to get under there? And this is being super picky, but 300 seems to be that great number.
I would like to test it for autofocus.
Yeah.
The Rivian, when I fully charge it to 100%, says 303 on the dash. And I have full confidence when I leave the driveway, I can drive 300 miles.
Okay.
I'm not the same amount of confident with a Tesla. So we'll see where this ends up being on the spectrum.
One thing I've been thinking about, do you think that this is like, are we getting too used to a car being tech where every update we're expecting bigger things? Because this seems pretty iterative.
I like this. So this is one of the things that Tesla does that a lot of other companies don't do, which is obviously there's a bunch of paradigms that they don't do, but having a new model year every single year in a mature category ends up feeling like kind of pointless.
Yeah.
Like it's getting to that point in smartphones where we get a new model year, boom, Galaxy S23. Okay, let me compare versus last year. Is it worth an upgrade? Not really that important, right? I think if it's slowly improving over time, then it's like a piece of tech. Like it'll always get a little better, a little better, a little better. And sure, that means that there's going to be some facelifts that are bigger bumps than others.
every few years, yeah.
And you kind of want to make sure you don't miss one of those and buy right before one of those. But I like the version of a car that's slowly always improving over time instead of waiting, new model year. Waiting, new model year. Just sell people the best car you can make, and if it gets better a little bit month to month, then I'm happy.
Yeah, I think there are like two kind of like ideas towards this. You've got the like PC companies, for example, the Razer Blade. It's always Razer Blade 2022, Razer Blade 2023. They're never like, the brand new Razer Blade. It's like they just say the model number because the year number, because it's pretty much the same thing. And they have iterative upgrades, but until they like make a massive refresh, they're not going to make a big deal about it. And I think that generally makes sense. And then you can just introduce like a new category at some point.
Cars in general generally do like a 4 to 5 year like generational upgrade where it's like the 2020
Hyundai Elantra.
Yeah, Hyundai Elantra 2021. And then it's like at 2025, it's like big facelift. Like more distinguishable between the two, not the like little tiny, like right now between
Yeah.
my Forester and last year's Forester, like
Would be very
the
similar.
headlight, there's this like little tiny difference in
Yeah.
some of the trim.
But does that work for EVs when it's like a tech thing, basically?
I think it does. I think it. I mean, like,
I think so.
If you look at Tesla, they kind of have generations. Like, if you look at Model S, we have Plaid now because we call it like kind of the drivetrain is the way we name it. But the previous one was the Raven Model S, and before that, there was just kind of like the new refreshed nose cone, and then before that was kind of just like 75D or whatever we just call sort of a couple generations. So I think it's just like some of the pieces that improve will be bigger than others. If you just do a nose cone and better efficiency in the motors and you get 10% more range, you just kind of do it and tell people about it. And it's a slightly improved car, but it's not a new version of the car.
I think you could make arguments both ways. On like the Tesla version, you might not have to wait a whole year to get an update, but the like legacy car manufacturer version is like you get to see what the spec bump is going to be come the new year, and you know when the new one's version. So when it's September and you're like, I'm gonna go buy a Model S, you're not like,
That's true.
oh, I can wait because I know these couple new features are going to be in the next one, versus like I'm going to buy it and then the minute I sit down and sit in it, I see everybody else is getting something new.
It has bit me before, yeah. So with the more traditional model, it becomes way more obvious when there's a good time to buy and a bad time to buy. A bad time to buy is right when they're about to do a new generation, and you kind of know when they're about to do a new generation. With the Tesla, I waited until dual motor P100D came out, and I said, that's a good time to buy. And then I bought, and then 1 week after delivery, they said, here's the new autopilot hardware all cars will get. Sorry, your car doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So, there are definitely upsides and downsides.
I will say, as like tech heads, it's really fun to have things that are completely different. Like I think the Nexus line was like a good example of that because it was manufactured by a different company every single year. So every year you had no idea what it was going to look
Gonna
like.
be HTC? Is it going to be Motorola? Who's it going to be?
And it was a different manufacturer almost every year. Like they repeated a couple of times, but it always looked super different and super unique, and that was super fun because you just had no clue.
It was also less mature back then.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that is kind of what it comes down to, is like the maturity of the category. Like the MacBook Pro, like the whole reason that they didn't maybe put the Face ID in the cameras is because they're going to let that mature a little bit, and then a few years down the line they'll make a bigger upgrade that makes it look slightly different.
Yeah.
They just want to see Marques in sandals.
Yeah. They saw that. They saw that clip and they were like, take it out.
This is it.
Take the Face ID out.
Yeah. I mean, we all got upset that like the 13-inch used the same chassis as the previous Touch Bar 13-inch, which I agree, it's annoying, especially since I think we assume that because you changed the chip, you should be changing the whole chassis.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. It's kind of weird that they didn't do it on the second generation too. I was assuming that they would, and I don't know why they released an M2 version of that, but maybe they just have a lot of chassis left. But
Supply chain.
yeah, either way, I think like really big upgrades are fun, but they don't always make sense to the manufacturer.
Yeah.
So.
If you were running a car company, would you save all of the tech upgrades over time and watch other manufacturers pull away and make better cars until you can do a big generational update? Or would you think it makes more sense to just, hey, if we can improve the car tomorrow, let's do it?
It's also risk assessment, right? Like if you've got the Prius and the Prius is selling like just steadily over the years, making a huge change to it is pretty risky, because even if you think, oh, this looks really cool, maybe the people that would normally buy the Prius because they like the way the Prius looks are not going to buy it anymore.
I would say something's coming, charge a price for it, and then every time it doesn't come, increase the price so people think it's coming sooner, pay more money, and then just pretty much never release that thing.
And then declare bankruptcy.
That has not happened.
You could have a future buying car companies.
Wait, I want to correct one thing really quickly. I think we mentioned the Polestar 2, there is a single motor version and it gets 270 miles. So we're looking at like a 30 mile update. Yeah, like David said, but there was a single motor version.
But it was front
in the
wheel?
previous one.
Yes,
Yes, front
they
wheel.
added
So
a
the new one's rear
wheel drive
Okay.
option.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. In honor of the muted microphones, we'll do a muted outro. That's the outro.